All right, moving on here. Ilia, it came out today that Ilia has left his gym, Clement Club, and I just want to get you guys' thoughts on. I don't know how much you guys know about the gym itself, but just typically when this happens, what do we like? How do we end up seeing things play out? How does it negatively or positively impact the fighter? I want to get you guys' take here.
Go ahead, John.
When you take a look at this, just in that perspective of who he's leaving his gym, it is something. But you got to look and say his brother is one of his coaches. His brother is always going to be with him, so he's not losing all of his coaches. He's not losing all of his gym. He's taking the people that are important for his training and make it to where he's comfortable with. He's gonna bring specific people for the stand up and his boxing and everything like that. Do I think it's a problem? I always think it's a problem when you're leaving a place based upon what caused that problem. Where all of a sudden was the dissension? Where all of a sudden what has changed between either you and the gym and that coach, or what's going on? Because there's something going on, and that's something that when you look at it, there's that distraction that's not good.
Yeah, what I take away from it is I try to leave several times. I try to leave AKA. I went out to Frankie's spot, thought about training out there because my mom lives literally a quarter mile down the road from him. So I was like, all right, cool, perfect. At least I know when we're on the same fight camp.
Then you thought about living around your mom again? You thought,
I just thought about living in Jersey, and I was like, damn. I would have to fly out back and forth, or even if I moved out there, I didn't see myself moving out there. But Frankie Edgar being a fantastic training partner, having a group of guys out of there, plus going into Henzo's and training with John Danaher and those guys that were there at the time, Phil Nurse and Ricardo Almeida, all within those areas, would have been great. I tried Randy Couture's spot, Extreme Couture's. He had Gray Maynard, had Tyson Griffin, had Jay Heron. But then I went there and trained. I was like, dude, my career would be over in seconds because these guys train like fucking wild men. I was like, there's just no way. There's no way I could train with these guys the way that they train all the time. It's fucking like Shark Tank every damn day. I was like, yeah, this is not good for anyone's health. So I didn't train. I loved the atmosphere of it all. I thought people were fantastic. And I actually loved Vegas because in the, during certain times of the year, even into the later, it was still kind of warm outside. California and Northern California, it's fucking cold around October. It's freezing. But then I tried down in Huntington Beach as well. I tried with Razor Rob and those guys.
You tried San Diego.
I tried San Diego at Alliance and with Dom and those guys and Phil Davis. Just nothing felt like home. In this situation, what I get concerned about is it's a big fight. They're all big fights now for him, but it's a big fight. And what you take away when you leave is what you end up missing is the routine. The routine is not the same. And I don't know, that to me is so important. If you want to become the best in the world at whatever it is you're doing. Tom Brady talked about his routine. Michael Jordan, he had a routine. He was obviously off his routine several times. He'd go play 36 holes and then go play a game that night. But it was like whatever he had in his mind is what he wanted to do. And that was his routine. But Kobe Bryant had his routine, the mom mentality was just strictly like, hey, I train at this time, and they didn't let anything distract him from that. This can interrupt. This first fight will be something that if he's going to look the worst he's ever looked, probably since we've seen him, it'll probably be in this fight. And only based on the fact that it's new. Everything is new to him. The coaching, the cornering, the way they wrap their hands, how the pad works are, who are you bringing? Are you bringing people in? Is it all now just catered around you? What are the specifics of it all?
That is the question.
Are you breaking the routine? Here's the other thing is boxers, right? They just have themselves and their coach and they travel, or people come to them to train. Is that what he's looking to do? Is he trying to take that boxer mentality of I have one or two coaches and that's it, and everyone comes to me and trains with me, or is he going to be at a gym that has other world-class fighters that he trains with on a regular basis? Is he going to have something that has access to there's a group of fighters like a Kill Cliff or American Top Team or an AKA or, a Greg Jackson, is he going to have a group of guys that he can train with on a consistent basis and try to help him get better? Or is it just going to be him inside his homemade gym in his house with his cryo chamber and all the other stuff? What's it going to be like? Because when you make it all about you and MMA, it gets a little, it's a selfish sport. I get it. GSP was able to make it work. But GSP traveled everywhere to train with John Danaher, to train with Faraz Sahabi, and to train in locations. And he spent time there, and then he made adjustments. Is that what he's going to do? Because if he does that, there might be some success there. But just the change. The change is always, the first fight will always be the hardest, I think.
I think the first fight is the hardest, but the fact that you have the ability in the position that he's in, what made George St. Pierre so successful. He would travel to Albuquerque, train with Greg Jackson. He would travel to New York, train with Henzo, train with John Danaher. He would travel back to Montreal for TriStar and be with Frias. And you look and you go, it worked for him. It worked for him. It doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody. And we're going to find out if this works for Ilia.
Yeah, it's a tough fight to do it against. You're going up in weight and you're fighting a former champion in Charles Oliveira, who is tall, long, and lanky and extremely good on the ground. One of the best, if not the best, in the UFC in terms of submissions. So this is, and it's so funny because when the fight was announced, I'd seen everyone say, man, Ilia's going to knock him out, But as now, in the last probably 3 or 4 days, I've seen a ton of people kind of not retracting what they said, but just basically saying, yeah, Charles, though, I've seen him, he gets dropped or gets wobbled in every fight, and then he comes back and wins. And I'm like, yeah, he has that Eddie Alvarez kind of effect, where he gets hurt, he gets stunned, and then he comes back and submits you, or he comes back and he wins 3 or 4 rounds, whatever it is. Like, he's that guy. And so we haven't seen Ilia, I think, at that. We've seen him at the top level. We haven't seen him in rounds 4 and 5, where can he be pushed? Can he be, how is he on the ground in terms of, with someone like a Charles Oliveira?
Well, you got to look and say my one, and I know I'm going to get eaten up for comparing this because I'm not comparing them. Charles Oliveira is one of the best submission grapplers there's ever been in the UFC. But Ryan Hall is a damn good submission grappler. Ryan Hall submitted BJ Penn in the UFC. And Ilia Topuria ate him up on the ground. So it's not bad.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Yeah. There's just the comparison's a little. BJ Penn was very old.
Yeah, I understand that, but Ryan Hall was dominated. He was on the ground and he got worked by ground and pound from Ilia Topuria. And I'm looking at a guy that knows how to fight off of his back, has a great submission game. Yeah. And so at least I've gotten a taste of seeing what Ilia can do with someone who I know can, move on his back and submit people. I've seen what Topuria can do to stop it. So not bad.
No, I get it. Look, I'm looking forward to an exciting fight. And I think Charles is going to surprise people. Who knows? Ilia's got the power, man, and you can never count that out. It's there. We saw it was there in the later rounds too with Max, and so it's still available. But can Charles get this fight to the ground and dominate the top position? I guess is the question. And I think what he's also done is he's inserted himself. Ilia has in talking about I'll submit Islam on the ground. Now that makes everyone believe like, well, if you say you can submit Islam. Like an Islam submitted Charles, we should be expecting some sort of submission then from you against Charles as well, or a knockout, either way. But I'm saying if this fight hits the ground, like we shouldn't have any problems, correct? Like Ilia should be able to dominate him on the ground. If you're saying that you could submit Islam and Islam submitted Charles, that's what
saying
he's
it.
Not
saying
if
it.
He did say it.
Saying it and doing it are two different things.
True. I'm
okay with him saying it, but I'd like to see it.
What else you got, Dave? This episode is brought to you by BetUS. Make sure you guys YouTube 150 for the promo code. Also, Element, use the link in the descriptions down below. Any product you buy from there, they will send you a bonus package of product if you use our link down below. Element's amazing, man. I love it. And I want to say thank you, man. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support us.